Hello, this is Paula Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pau. I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and her World Network in Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on all your respective app stores. The app is totally free. While you download the app, please make sure that you rate it and you leave a comment because feedback is important to us. You can find Zingo TV in Google Chromecast and Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also an all new 2016 TVs and forward. Welcome and thank you for being here. Today in the house, we have Danny Boustani. She is a brain health trainer and also a neuroencoding specialist. Thank you for being here, and I welcome you today, Danny.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Paula. I'm excited to be with you. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Please share a little bit about you so we can get to know you more.
Well, I am an architect by profession and certified neuroencoding specialist. I think I'm the first in Calgary, where I live, and a certified brain health trainer, also by Dr. Amen. So it's been a journey. I've been an architect for several years, 32 years, and I enjoy helping people to see what they envision in their space or what they want to have, and then make it come true. And now through the neuroencoding and the brain health, it's been a different journey too. In a way, seeing results in what people envision in themselves. And when they feel they are stuck somewhere and they can't go further to their goals or to their dreams, it's nice to be there alongside with them, just guiding them. They do the work, but seeing the results is really exciting.
That's beautiful. You get to help people to make their dream come true based on their dream home or their dream business building.
Mhm.
And now you also help them to also bring their dreams into their life in a way that you bring joy. I'm pretty sure you bring, like you help them with their faith, you help them with their courage, their love, and all the beautiful core values that we all need to use in order for us to create a meaningful life. So that's beautiful. Now, where did you find the purpose to say this is what I want to do? Like what gave you that purpose?
Well, it's been a journey, developing my character, and I think I'm very I'm a great listener, and I really like to listen to people and be a good supportive to them, and for me and for my family and the people around me. And so a few years ago, I was just as an architect, I moved from Dubai 16 years ago to Calgary, and it was a big change for me coming as an immigrant. New learnings to prove myself, and new learning with the code, with the safety code, building materials. So there were lots for me to learn, and I am a good learner. But at the same time, it's really hard on. It was hard on me, on my self-confidence, on really try to work hard to prove myself. So this is where I started looking to how to build myself and do some self-development and encourage myself to keep moving forward and be brave. So this is how. Through that I found my purpose is to support other who maybe were on the same journey as me, or maybe in other, because also as a wife, as a mother, and we have all challenges, and I find my purpose is to stand along others and support them and bring that my life experience and help them through that.
That's beautiful. Yes, I think we all need self-development in our lives.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yes, we
Okay.
all need self-development. Yeah, we're not
Yes.
perfect people. We are work in progress. That's what I say. And we can, it's not because like some people think, oh, I'm good. We are all good and happy with the state we are, but it's always good to be open and learn more. And it's not about just like collecting information or having the knowledge. It's what we do about it.
I like that. Yes. It is what we do with what we know.
Hmm.
Yes. And it is like for all of you all that are listening to us, the way we explain self-development is like, it's just like what Danny said, is like, it's what we do with what we know and what we have. Like if
Hmm.
your child, for example, spills the milk, you know, automatically you're probably going to go to like what do you just do? Like you're going to react, right? But with self-development, you have the ability to like calm yourself and have the awareness, or it's like, okay, how do I want to react?
Hmm.
At least uh for the next 5 minutes, like how can I change that anger? How can I change that reaction that instantly, sometimes we react without thinking. And with self-development, it gives you the tools, that the awareness, where you're like, okay, how should you behave? How should you educate, or how can you bring this moment to educate your child and educate yourself at the same time. So
Hmm.
that's what I've discovered through a journey of self development, is like the awareness of how should I behave. Like we have the tools. You cannot get onto your child or be upset with your child half of the day, because their brain hasn't fully developed, so they don't know what they're doing. The majority of, I mean, they're smart, but it's like with self development, you can have the awareness of, okay, what do I do with what I know and what I have. So thanks for bringing this. And today we're going to talk about the workplace, like, so in the office, how can we use self-development in the office, Danny?
Well, it's in. I can speak from my experience in the office that I work in now. I've been there for 10 years, and it's a great encouragement. Even it's the awareness that we have in our work office that like the owner, he likes to bring the positiveness, or how what was positive this week or this weekend, or we share and we treat others as family, and we are as a team, we work as a team. Like I support others because I am on their same team, I am on their team, and they are on my team. So this is a great thing, but it is a learning. And as you said, we bring awareness because yes, we might attend a webinar and take all this information. Sometimes lots of information can be overwhelming, and we just take it and leave it on the shelf. But if we can try to change one thing at a time, that will bring improvement, and will create a better workplace environment. And I can say my workplace is like a meeting. It's another family for me.
That's good. Yeah, it's like learn to be a team player.
Yeah.
Like teach our people to be team players. We are for the team, instead of thinking of an individual, the benefit of only one person might get.
Yeah.
But is like, here we go back to last week. I was talking about leadership, like level one of leadership is like learning to lead ourselves first, right?
Mhm.
Learning to discover ourselves the sooner we can, like what are those core values that we live by,
Yeah.
so that we can inspire one more person with what we do, and then so on. Then you begin to go up on the ladder of leadership. So what are some of your thoughts about burnout in the workplace?
Oh, burnout, it's not just in the workplace, but as you want to focus on workplace, burnout can be, and especially I think I've seen the last couple of 2 years, and I worked with two individuals. It's also the COVID, I think, added a lot. on our stress level and the work, even with from home and all this. You don't know, are you working from home or are you working from the office? And I think burnout, it just doesn't come only from the stress that we feel or the amount of work that we have. It's an accumulation of things. And working with these two individuals the last 2 years, I found it is the stress that and the load of work, or the load of responsibility. But there are deeper things, and every individual has their own things that really leads them to burn out, like the way that they think of themselves, the pressure, not only the stress of the deadlines that we face at work, but what is the expectation of ourselves and how we beat ourselves up for not being perfect instead of trying to really, as our friend and coach Vino Keller says, stop self-beating and start self-growing, and how we can grow and become and grow our character and our behavior so we can avoid burnout.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's like, what can I learn from this experience? Like we can always question ourselves, like work environment. Okay, what can I learn from the experience that just happened, instead of just taking it in and taking it like guilt, because
Mhm.
guilt is usually around,
Yeah.
or shame as well. So instead of giving it a name, to the experience of being feeling guilt, feeling shame, or not appreciate it, what is the meaning that we could give it? Like, ask yourself, it's like, what meaning can I give it? Because the meaning that you give it to, that's what you're going to experience. And we tend to stuck up, like we stuck, oh, I feel lonely, I feel not appreciated, I feel like they're not listening to me, I feel like, like I don't matter, I don't have a voice. We begin to stack things up. But what if we
Yeah.
begin to be aware of the first layer, like, oh, I felt like they didn't understand me. But what if you make yourself clear, because language has a lot of power. Like, if we learn to use the right language, I'm pretty sure the boss or a coworker, if you bring that your voice with the right language, they will listen to you. And I think a lot of us, myself included, uh, we assume things, and it's
Mhm.
like, let's stop assuming that they're not for you. Stop assuming that they didn't hear you. Maybe they were dealing with a huge problem, but continue to ask. And I learned this from Brandon Bouchard's. He's like, ask. It's like, ask. And if they don't answer the first time, he's like, ask again. Because most likely they're busy. It's not that they don't like you or they don't want, listen to you, but it's like, just ask again and again. It's like, be persistent, use the right language. It just that just brought a huge aha moment, because I'm an immigrant as well. So I don't know if this relate to you, Danny, where it's like kind of quiet, and if you ask one time and if they don't do it, then you're like, okay, well, they just didn't want to do it. But in reality, there is two sides of the story. Maybe they got really busy with more important things, that they got sidetracked. But
Mhm.
it's like, if you ask again nicely and with good intentions, I'm pretty sure they'll, oh, she was serious about it, or, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. But it's like, let's stop assuming things, and let's begin to use the right language, and face that the adversity that we're telling ourselves a story that is not serving us, because just a simple story is saying, oh, well, they didn't hear me, or they didn't like my idea, or what I just said, nobody reply. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's like, sometimes we cut the connection, but we don't see what others are going through. So that's what I would like to bring awareness
That's
to the
true.
workplace.
Yeah, and especially for burnout, as I said, every individual, it is the stacking of things. It's not only the amount of work and the stress of work. Is accumulation of things. But yes, it's sometimes how we take things, and we be so if we move from being to really be curious and understand the intent of the people around us, that will help us too. So there are lots of strategies to do for burnout, but also it depends on every individual. And I really love when I see the results that I see with these two individuals, helping them from where they were and how they are now. So for burnout is very important to do, like have some time to do some self-care, because in our busy life we just don't ignore to do some self-care. And then once we start thinking and being a team player, as you said, and then take everything in a really thinking of from where the other person is coming, not taking always personally, that also helps. And trying to start building boundaries, like healthy boundaries, because not every individual and all different cultures they have, but I learned healthy boundaries are very important also. It's good for the individual themselves and good for the people you are interacting with them on daily basis.
Yes, and know that a boundary is like, if I can no longer love myself and love you at the same time, that means something is off. We cross a boundary. So let's be aware that if I no longer feel comfortable with, let's say with Danny, maybe I said something that I had no, like I didn't know that I hurt her feelings. But if she can no longer love me and love herself at the same time, because she's like, okay, did she mean that? Like we play so many stories in our heads. So here we go back to like, let's focus on like the right language, and let's seek connection. Let's be team players, because we work like from 8 to 5. We spend a lot of time in the office,
Yes.
and learn to see the mission of it. Like, what are you working together for? I think that's what brings a huge meaning. What are we showing up for every single day? What is that mission that we have, that we're working together to create?
Yeah.
And there is research, out there that says that whenever the members of the team get along, whenever they have time to talk one-on-one about, what happened last weekend, what happened to your dog, like, then you begin to create those connections. So you make that team stronger. But, like, yeah, be a team player, and then let's do the right language, bring the right language to work, where we're connecting. And if a boundary was crossed, let's just talk about it. It's like we're humans. We're here to learn. Maybe you said something about, I don't know, like I didn't agree. Then let's just talk about it without being so sensitive. But and let's just see it as a growth. When I train teams, I tell them, let's just have grounding meetings. Like grounding meetings. Let's just grow, instead of like, let's just have a meeting.
Yeah.
Let's
And
call them
always,
ground.
yeah, and always have love and grace. Like come from that place, and because you love the people around you, and then you come with the love and grace. As you said, conflict happen. It's the way how we approach it. How we, instead of building bitterness towards the other person and resentment, it's good just to invite for a meeting with openness and with love and grace, and try to understand the other person instead of coming like judging and with your mindset, this is the way I see it and that's it. We really need to be open to listen to others.
Yes, and that's what is important, to bring brain health awareness into the workforce,
Yes.
because whenever there is somebody that it says is my way or the highway, there is an imbalance, activity going in the brain. And we have the strategies and techniques to be like, okay, how can we balance that? Because there are people out there that don't know about brain health. So whenever there is someone in the office that's saying it is my way or the highway, don't judge them. It is a brain imbalance behavior. So that's just the reality of it. And going back to burnout, I would like to share that sometimes it's self-doubt,
Mm-hmm.
is like gets us. Whereas like you wonder is like if you're doing, if what you're doing matters, if what you're doing is being seen, if what you're doing is enough. Sometimes self-doubt gets in. I call them self-doubt attacks, whereas like, okay, like it kind of interferes with your purpose. It interferes with your future. And we all go through those moments. We all go through those moments of self-doubt. So my advice to you all is to be aware, to be aware and name it. Just give it a meaning and be like, okay, it's probably time for me to reset, or it could be time for me to reflect or align. That's one of the things that I teach on grounding meetings. It's time for us to align as one person and also align as a team, uh, players.
Yeah.
So what are what's your advice? What could we share, whenever they're having self-doubt? How do you handle that, or how do you guide others?
Yeah, I experience self-doubt and imposter syndrome because, moving from totally from the Middle East. I grew up in the Middle East in several places. Lived in when the civil war started in Lebanon, we moved to Baghdad, and then the war started in Baghdad, then moved to Abu Dhabi, and then Dubai, and then to Calgary. So, moving, I when it is you try to fit in, and but always self doubt and low self esteem can creep in. And this is where I feel the self development comes and help us and guide us to really improve, because we have lots of potential. We don't want to be stuck and hold back because of the self doubt. Your And when you're not confident, you know it in your heart, but your fear can hold you back. So it's very important to really sit with ourselves and put these thoughts down and challenge them. And this is where I really got inspired with the brain health and the neuroencoding, that we're not stuck there. We can really move forward, and we can stop these things and improve our behavior to help us to move forward stronger, and without always carrying our hurts and our doubts, which really will push us back and not let us be fulfilling our potential.
Yes, thanks for sharing that. Is there anybody out there with self-doubt? Anybody that is having confidence issues? Danny and I are here to show you
Yes,
that you can do it.
yes.
Because for years, I
Hmm.
thought my accent didn't qualify me. It's
Yeah.
like I was very, tried to be very quiet, very reserved, and I would always double think what I had to say because I knew I was going to mess up with my English. So if you're dealing with self-doubt, if you're dealing with self-confidence right now, it's just a limiting belief. You are
Mhm.
so much more. You are
Yes.
so much more. And like I said, Danny and I are just the proof of limiting beliefs because we had them. And we just, it's a daily thing that you have to battle, because right now we might have another limiting belief that we
Yes.
are being challenged with.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we're here to show you that it is possible, because she's talking to me in English. I'm talking to her in English, and we both had we both thought we couldn't, we couldn't have a nice conversation in English, meaningful conversation.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just part of life. It made me stronger. Now I get to, we get to inspire other immigrants that are in the process of learning a second language or a third language.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Mhm.
Now let's talk about celebration in the workplace.
Yes, I love that. And this is one of the things to build your self-esteem and confidence, and to encourage each other in the workplace and support each other with everything we do. And as I learned from the brain health, our brain really uh, move us towards the things that we like. When we reward our brain and we celebrate, then our brain will take us more and more there. Like, so learned that from Joseph McClendon III. Like, I celebrate and pat myself on the back, and even I celebrate the small things that everyone does in the office. So I celebrate them, give them high five, way to go, because sometimes we have lots of tasks to do, and we just forget. So we start from one task to another, from one task to another, and we just forget. But the more we celebrate, I think it just releases that stress and brings that smile, release that dopamine, and we're ready for the next step. So celebrating has been like these last, I can say, 10 to 12 months. I've been celebrating, and it's actually the culture now. It's in our home, because you start with yourself, with the people around you, but it's important to apply it on you first. So now even at home we celebrate, and then we encourage each other, and yeah, so celebrating. And coming from my culture, we really need to celebrate the biggest achievements, not the little things. So it was really a learning thing for me to look at the very little things, the small successes, because success builds on successes. So very small success, and you celebrate it, you enjoy it, and say, yes, I can do that. Yes, and you just start praising what you have done in a good way, not being arrogant, but just celebrating what you have done because you deserve it. And you move to the second one with the joyful, and you'll be ready. You'll have that posture. I'm ready for my next task.
Yes. And now I like to bring this awareness as well to the office when I do my trainings, because I say, we are going through a great resignation, started back in September, where people just walk away from their jobs. It's like they said, they had enough.
Yeah.
So I said, celebration, it doesn't have to be, a lot of money. It doesn't have to be expensive. There is a lot of bonuses that we're giving during the pandemic, and that didn't keep the workers in their field. Money wasn't enough. So small celebrations matter. Like I ask, okay, if we could ask today, what are you proud of that you accomplished, could be last week. If we can teach our people, if we can teach our workers to be proud of themselves, to begin to think, okay, yeah, I accomplished this, I accomplished that, okay, then give me a high five. You want to do a happy dance? It's like, how can we celebrate
Yes.
that we're showing them that they can look, internally, and in their mind is like, what did I accomplish yesterday or the day before or today, that I can celebrate you. Like, we can celebrate together. It doesn't have to be a bonus. It could be just a happy dance, just a high five.
Yes.
It could be, oh wow, I'm proud of you. Oh, you did that. It's just the small celebrations. And we're doing two things. This is what I tell them is like, you are teaching the brain to release the dopamine when we celebrate, even the small wins, just the tap on your shoulder. You're teaching your brain to release the dopamine and to do more of it because it feels good.
Yeah.
And then we're teaching them to like self-validation. Don't you think? It's like, if we teach them to like, you did that. It's like, you did that, and I don't have to celebrate you all the time, because as humans, somehow we look for that. Tell me I did a good job. Tell me I matter. We look for the exterior validation, but in reality, is like, it's internal that we have to look for. So through,
Yes.
I'd like to bring that awareness into the workplace, where it's like, teach them to find, what they did, and then to tell you, is like, oh, this is what I accomplished. So it's like you're fulfilling different things within one single task. So I
Yes,
love that.
and you are back to self-development. Like self-development is acknowledging your task, acknowledging your wins. So we don't really wait for someone to acknowledge it. And this is, I think, it is also an issue in the workplace. Like people are waiting for others to acknowledge them. But once you acknowledge it yourself, because it is you who acknowledge you first, and then your attitude and your productivity just goes higher without noticing, but because you acknowledge your wins. So instead of depending on others, this is where self-development comes in celebration. Celebrate you, and you know your value, you know your worth, and it's amazing how positiveness and productivity you bring to the place then.
Yes, yes, I love that. And I think we all need that. Reminding, reminding ourselves and remind the people around that it's about internal validation, like
Yes.
in our children, if we can teach our children is like, you got it, it is within you. You don't need
Mhm.
anybody else to clap, but it's like it's within you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is beautiful. Now
Mhm.
let's move on to, now that we're talking about this self validation and celebration. What do you see on self worth? Like, how do you think employees are ranking on their self worth?
Again, it's an individual. I've been working actually with one lady on her self worth, and it's really hard when you know someone and you try to see the great things they have, but they don't see it. So self worth, it's your well being, the way you see yourself, the way you love yourself. So I've been experiencing and seeing like some people, they just, if they believe the lies or the thoughts that it comes to our mind. Unfortunately, our brain give us negative thoughts, and as we call it, the automatic negative thoughts. And it is our choice to really believe it or no. So I try to train and help her to take that thought and challenge it. And is it an accurate thought? Is it 100% true that this is who you are? And amazing, when you start questioning it, you can see that it is not 100%, but we believe these thoughts. We believe these thoughts, and it brings our self worth down. So there are techniques to help us to really validate our thoughts and really not believe every stupid thing that we think about. Or sometimes we believe the word that have been spoken over us with, if you are in a negative or abusive relationship, some words that have been spoken over you, you start believing them. You're doubting yourself and you start believing them, and it will take your self worth down. So there are lots of things that we can really believe ourselves and see how we are created for higher meanings. And if we want to change the world and do an impact on the world, we really need to start knowing our self worth, start with ourselves, and then we can make an impact. Also, sometimes we carry our shame or guilt, and we just hold to them while we and this is I learned from, sometimes we do mistakes, sometimes we do bad choices. But when we want to move forward and moving forward, we can still always keep holding to these, keep feeling shameful, keep feeling guilty. We don't free ourselves from these. So we need to learn from these mistakes, bring that pain and turn it to purpose, or take that, bring the beauty out of ashes. And it is a journey, and it's nice to do it when someone next to you that can, hold you and tell you and support you to go. But it's good to just let go, because we're not working perfect people. We're, as I said, we are work in progress. So it's just good to know that we're holding to this, but why we're holding to it and how we're going to let go. And there's lots of techniques, as you and I will learn, Paula, that we can help people to move to the next step and turn that pain and the way we look at it in a different eyes, give it a different meaning, as you said, that will help us to move forward. And this is what attracted me actually to Joseph McClendon the third, how he takes his pain and move it and teaches us how to take that pain and turn it to something that will be beneficial and will be of growth to me, instead of just being the victim of, oh, I can keep saying, oh, I'm an immigrant, I have an accent, and being a victim for that. I always use metric, never used imperial in my career, so this is what I do. No, I learned how to use imperial. I learned a new code. I challenge myself because I want to be victorious. I just don't want to stay on that victim place and blame it all on my past. No, I have an opportunity here. So it's the way you decide to move forward, and it's the same with all the hard times that we feel, like living in a war and that fear that always have in my heart. I can't just keep living with the fear. I want to be fearless. I want to be fearless. And it took some time and lots of work on myself, and my faith really helped me to grow and just let go of the worry and fearfulness and just embrace what's coming next.
Thank you for sharing this story with us. Yes. I I honor you. I honor you for sharing this. It's the first time I heard it. So that's awesome. Yes, for anybody out there that you think, it's very challenging, what's your psychology?
Mm-hmm.
What story are you telling yourself about you?
Yeah.
Because you have the power to change it. You have the power to see the beauty within you. And like Danny was saying, if there is guilt, if there is shame, things that you've done in the past that you don't want to do that anymore, then turn it into a purpose. You can save somebody from doing those mistakes, or
Mm-hmm.
however you call it. And now the power is within you to say, okay, no more, but I can teach others, not to go on that path. But it's on your psychology. It's like, what story are you telling about yourself? And if it's not serving you, if it's not serving you, if it's keeping you feeling down, well, let's rewrite it. Like, how can you be victorious? Like Danny was saying, it's like, how can you rewrite? Because as long as we're breathing,
Mm-hmm.
the sky is the limit. And then it's like, what story are you telling yourself about your surrounding? We can think, people are good. People are good, and you're going to see the good in people. Or
Yeah.
we can say, you know what? This world is going crazy. There is a lot of stingy people. There's a lot of ugly and mean people out there. And if we continue to think that way and say that way, that's all we're going to see. Because our brain, it's a beautiful organ that you teach it to see what you want to see. You teach it to see, what you want to experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the power of language. And then our psychology. What psychology are you telling yourself about you?
Yeah.
What psychology are you telling yourself about the people around you? So we
Yeah,
can
same with labeling. Like sometimes we label ourselves even jokingly, but it really hurt our brain, and this is what our brain starts seeing. And when we label others, is we start seeing only that in them. And this is where I really just love Dr. Daniel Amen and his teaching, because this is what attracted me to him first, when he said, change your brain, change your life. Love your brain, love your life. That we're not stuck like we say, oh, I am depressed. or this person has bipolar, or this lady is very anxious. So we start labeling people and labeling ourselves and all what we see in these people, this label that we have made. But that's not true. And as Dr. Daniel says, like, we're not stuck with the brain we have. We can change it. And this is what brings excitement and and this is what we're trying to do, to bring that knowledge and education to everyone. That we're not stuck. If we're anxious, we can do something about it. We're not stuck if we're feeling down or depressed. We can do something about it. It's not only about taking pills and medication. There are techniques, there are ways, there are some supplements that can take us. And it is our belief, the way we think. It's all because of the way how we think and the images that we have in the back of our brain. This is we start feeling. This is how we start feeling. So it's like all what I learned from the brain revolution. I'm so passionate about that. I want to just tell everyone, and I remind myself sometimes I need to take permission if they want to listen or no, right? So there, and
Yes.
this is the beauty in learning and doing self development too. That you take yourself to the next level and be better. Then you can influence people around you and really change the world the way you act. So it starts all from us.
Yes. And like, what story are you telling yourself about your boss?
Mhm.
What story are you telling yourself about those leaders out there within your department? It's like, if we only seen the bad and the ugly, that your story is not going to be very pretty about your work experience.
That's
Like,
true.
but what is, yeah. So what are you seeing from your coworkers? Because if we begin to see the good in it, if we begin to see, like, how can I learn from this person? I mean, what can this person teach me?
Yeah.
If we begin to be curious and not critical,
Mhm.
like what Venus says, like, well, how can you yeah, begin to be curious? It's like, I wonder why he took that decision. It's like, be
Mhm.
curious instead of judgmental. And
Yeah.
that's part of the story that you're telling yourself about you and about the people that you work with.
Yeah, and I learned actually from our course also that always try to focus, and I challenge everyone actually to do that. If you have a difficult person in the office place or in your life, we all have, and sometimes we are the difficult people, right? So just look at what you like in the person in front of you
Yes,
and
we
everything will change. Look for what you like in the person in front of you and just love that. And it's really changed lots of my relationships because I really now curious to see what I like in the person that I'm sitting with or what I'm discussing something with. And it's a game changer.
Yes, we have only 2 minutes
Yeah.
left. We started late because of difficulty of technology.
Yes.
But forgiveness, we also said we were going to talk about
Mhm.
forgiveness. If you can just
Yeah.
share, 1 minute of forgiveness before we go.
Yes. Forgiveness is a big thing for me. Because of my faith, I learned to forgive others. But what I discovered, some people that they hurt me, I forgave, but I really kept some conditions or made an inner vow. And it was freeing when we really forgive from all our heart. And we forgive, this is what I learned. We forgive not for the sake to the person who hurt us. We forgive for our freedom, for us to be free and flourish. And forgiveness can start with ourselves too. And as I said, sometimes we blame ourselves for this decision or choices that we make. We need to forgive ourselves truly. And I find freedom with forgiveness. And I encourage everyone with any background you come with, just, practice
Thank you.
that. Practice
Thank
that.
Thank you for being here, Danny. Thank you all for being here and listening to us today. This can also be heard in the Spanglish Radio Network. Go to spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Programming is Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. High five, Danny, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Yay!
me.